So here in the parts mower section, there's a John Deere with a really good looking V-twin 26 horsepower engine. And then there's an Aaron. It looks great. It's got nice surface rust, no hood, but the back body looks great on it. It's not rusted through. It's all good orange. Find a good seat for it, throw an engine on it, build some kind of really big pulley on front, put a small pulley in the back. We can have this one just for speed. Maybe even lower it down a little bit. I've not got a lowered one yet. Let's pull it around and see what we can do to it. So I just took the John Deere and that little piece of chain and I pulled the Aaron's into the shop, and I'm thinking make it fast. We need another fast mowers. And then I see that tire sitting on the ground. Do we need a fast mower or do we need a mud mower? Anyway, the engine is right here. We're ready to go on it. I think I'll stick it on there. So I'm gathering parts for it. I've got those tires for the back. Those are 18s, those are 20s, so they should be a little bit shorter. Those are brand new, never been used. On the front, I've got these little racing slicks. That'll drop the front down a little bit. For the engine, it came with a 17.5 horse. We've got 18.5. We're already improving on horsepower. And for the pulley, I've got this pulley, that pulley. If I cut the center out of the big one, well, the little one in there, we'll have a big pulley on the engine. Then we'll find a small pulley for the back. So I just popped the old crusty turf tire off. Now we're gonna get this slick put on. There's the wheel. So for a mower update, I did take off this muffler shield. It's all bent up anyway. I think next I'll go ahead and clean up these tires and get them on the back. And for the front tires, these front racing slicks, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. I can't get it to go on. I'm not giving up yet. I've got it mounted to a board. I can use both hands on it. It just don't want to go on there. But I'm gonna keep working it. And now we're officially halfway on. One more bead to go. Okay, with some persuasion, some tire slickum, and these vice grips, it is now on. It's time to air it up. 4, and here's a little after. And I don't think it's too small. I think it's just right. We're gonna try to lower the mower a little bit. And the back tires, I've got them cleaned up and drying. So that tire's on the wheel. That's the hardest tire I've ever done by myself. To be so small and flexible, it was really tough. With the help of some vice grips, I got it done. I did some on the OJ pole on the back. Those were harder than this, but it was 2 people doing it. I did some old, stiff super swamps one time. That was 2 people. They were hard. But these for by myself, and I don't know what kind of pressure to run on them. And why would a slick tire, you can leave this in the comments, they are, hold on, they're directional. So this one goes on the other side. There's no tread. Why would it be directional? I don't know enough about slicks to know why they would be directional. Anyway, 1 down, 1 to go. And if you're wondering, these came from a car show. They were $2 a piece. They still got life in them. The guy had pallets and pallets of them. I got 3 that are this size, 1 that's an oddball size, but I've got his business card. I know what area he lives in, or I'll see him again at the car show at spring break. I'd like to have some of these on a racing wagon. This is what it's going to look like. I like it. Is it too small? I like it. And we're about to get the back ones on. We'll know what it's going to look like, and then we're going to try to lower it a little bit. And I got to get the engine on, get some pulleys on it, and I'm really excited about that custom, as loud as you can make it exhaust. So I'm going to try to take that pulley collection and make me a big pulley for the front to go on the engine. Anyway, it is second front tire time. I'm going to slick it up real good, me and the vice grips, and this time we're going to make sure the rotation is right. This side goes out. So this tire is halfway on. It's kind of easier once you know what you're doing. And you've got this tool to hold the wheel. About a minute later, it's on. The key is have a board to hold your wheel. Use your vice grips and put them on the opposite side of the valve stem. That way you got maximum, that groove in there, you can have maximum use of that groove to get these little tires on. Both front tires are now on. Let's do the same for the back tires. It's time to start on the back tires. So rear tire number 1 is off. I found some rust, but nobody's ever gonna know about that. Anyway, the tire has a plug, the tire has some dry rot, and the tire has some black widow eggs. So shout out to Aaron's. This is the first one that I've messed with. That wheel, I put a little bit of touch-up paint on it. This one came out virtually rust-free. That one's ready for a tire. This one, as soon as the paint dries. Rear tire number 1 is looking good. Aired up and ready to put on. Tire wheel number 2 is off the rear. Let's pop it without pulling the valve core. There he goes. By the way, this tire machine was $51 on eBay, probably 20 years ago. I've used the mess out of it. So I just popped off some belt guards. I've got the engine sitting in place. I got to find 3 more bolts. We can bolt it down. Before we do that, I'll take it back off, take the clutch out, bolt it in, get the pulley on, then we'll relocate the clutch. Up here in the machine shop, trying to save money on pulleys. That's a big expense, pulleys and belts. What I'm planning on doing is cutting this hub out, make it big enough where it'll slide over this, cut that off, slide over this, weld this together, and that'll be for the engine. Then for the rear end, take this hub and use this pulley, make this hole big enough for that hub to go through, weld those together. That'll be for the rear end, that'll be for the front end. This is my robot helper, he's helping me drill the holes. So there's the robot off duty now. It went all the way through, the hub is now out. A little hot still. And while that was working, I cleaned up this. Now this will go through that hole, and our next step will weld them together. So on the front pulley, the hard part's done. Now we just line it up and tack it together. Also, if you're wondering, fast mowers did 44. It had a 7-inch pulley. This is about a 9-inch pulley. It is tacked into place. We'll double check the measurements and we'll weld it up. So double checked it, it was slightly off, so I ground that weld off, moved it around a little bit, and now I've retacked it, and I like it. Let's weld it. And that is perfectly centered. Here's the 5/8 inch hub out of the big pulley. This is the 0-tone pulley we just drilled out. That's going to be nice. This one is all cleaned up. Now I got to line it up and then we're going to weld it together. The rear pulley has been centered and tacked together. I'm going to go ahead and weld it. So the back pulley is welded together, and I just painted the front one silver. Let's go look at it. That is leftover LT Johnson front wheel paint. It looks good to me. So the idler pulley, clutch, and spring has been removed, and good thing because this one is froze up. Anyway, if we go underneath, so the big pulley is in place. There's about 3/4 inch clearance here. There's about a 1/2 inch clearance there. If we'd have gone any bigger, it would have taken major modifications. Anyway, you got to take off the steering to get this one to go on. That's not a problem. So just remove the gas tank. We'll put it back, or we'll have to find a better one. The brake linkage, that had to go. The parking brake linkage had to go. The deck stuff, we don't need that. So here in the mower, I've relocated the clutch. It used to go here. This arm was going this way. Now I've flipped this pulley over. Everything gets flipped, and it'll be about like this. I'm going to drill a hole here, and it's going to pivot on a bolt right about here. And then we got to relocate our idler pulleys, 2 idler pulleys. Then we can put our engine on, put our big pulley on, and find out what belt we need. So I'm out with the mower, and if you notice something looks different, the rear end just fell out. Look at those nice new tires. Anyway, what we're doing, we got to take this pulley off, which by the way looks a lot like this pulley we're putting on front. So basically we're taking the back one off the back and putting it on the front. And then we're going to replace it with this one. We're going from a 9-inch in the back to about a 4-inch. So that's one of the easiest pulleys I've ever taken off. It is time to put this pulley on and that clip on, and we're done. The new custom 4-inch pulley is on. It's time to put the rear end back under the mower. So I just found this idler pulley on a parts mower. It spins good. That's just what I needed. I'm gonna throw a little grease in there because it's probably not been greased since 1987. So there's the grease in the bearing. I'm gonna put the seal back on, and we're done with it. Here's the seal. So from the parts mowers, I just found a seat, I found a belt, I found this idler pulley. The rear end's fully installed, and I gotta hook up the shifter. We can go ahead and bolt down the engine, put that front pulley on, then figure out where our 2 idler pulleys and our clutch need to go. So I just put the seat on. It is looking really good. It sits good. Anyway, I think up next I'm gonna start working on the clutch system. So the brakes did not work. I had to remove the brake linkage. I had to remove the parking brake linkage. The clutch linkage, I took it out, flipped it over, now it goes backwards instead of going forward. The clutch used to go like this. Now it's gonna be doing more like this. I gotta find a pulley that actually spins, and then we gotta add about 2 idler pulleys, and this should be done. We'll be hunting a belt. So I put the clutch back in stock position. This arm's stock, this linkage is stock, and this is how it used to work. When you push the clutch in, when you let the clutch out, we just gotta make sure we're doing the same thing on the opposite end. Feels like we need a hole approximately right here. And I guess I was wrong when I flipped this over. I'm going to have to flip it back over. Yeah, let's do that first. Okay, clutch pivot bolt hole has been drilled. We're going to put this in place. I've already flipped this back over where it's supposed to be. So on my clutch experiment, this looks pretty good except for the belt. When I put the belt on, pretending to go around the pulley up front, it's rubbing on this linkage. I'm going to be dropping an idler pulley here, but I'll also be putting it on the other side. I don't want them fighting for space. So I think the best thing to do, drill another hole over as far as I can get it, make this a little more lined up and out of the way of my belt. So I just modified the clutch linkage. I weld it on a washer, then there'll be another washer on the other side, and we'll go ahead and put a pin through it. This one will have a washer on one side. It does not need to be welded, and we're going to pin this. That's our next step. So just painted the clutch linkage red while we're waiting on the dry tag update. I got this one. This one came in my red S10. That's my next project. I'm going to V8 swap it. Anyway, let's get this one up on the wall. If you want to send me one, here's the address. So that tag is now mounted, and shout out to the others that sent tags. Now back to the clutch. So I've got this belt on the back pulley, I've got it on the clutch pulley, I've got it on this idle pulley. My red clutch linkage is in place. I got a washer and a pin, It is all ready to go. You can see how it acts. And that loud squeaky here, I've got the spring in place using an existing hole. That's going to work good. I think my next step, I'm going to lower it down, put the engine in place, get the engine pulley on, then we can decide where to put the other idle pulley, and hopefully we can find a belt around here that'll work. Right now we've got $0 invested. I'm not sure why this pulley would be froze up, and I don't think I'm going to be able to save it. So with some WD-40 and this belt, I was able to break it loose. I'm going to grease it up and we'll use it temporarily. I now have the engine bolted on, and that pulley is under there. It's bolted on. I went through all my belt collections. I got one that's slightly too big. I got one that's slightly too small. I'll take these to the store. I'll pick one in between. We'll get it put on, get that last idle pulley put in. Then I got to get a gas tank put on. We got to probably clean the carburetor. I got to put a starter on it, and then figure out maybe put the battery in the stock location for now. And we should be good for a test drive. Add to that list wiring. I think we got to find a solenoid for it, and add exhaust. I'm excited about that. Just coming back from work, I stopped by the store. One belt measured 96, one belt measured 100, so I came out with a 98 inch. Let's go see if it'll fit. So I've got the new belt on. It's 98 inches. It's just about perfect. Once we add this idler pulley, I almost used the existing hole, but it's a little bit in the wrong spot. So we're going to add a hole here, and I can't fit the drill press under, so I've got this little piece of bed frame. I've got this crowbar. We push the button, we push down the crowbar, instant drill press. Piece of cake. So I've got the belt fully installed. If we turn the tire all the way to the left like we're fixing to do a donut, it rubs on the belt. If we turn it the other way, it clears the belt, so all of our donuts have to be cut to the right. So here's the belt all the way installed. It's got tension. I believe that's going to be just right. If we work the clutch, yeah, that's perfect. Here's the clutch linkage action. If I want to make the LT1000s faster, I'd have to do something like that with their clutch, because their clutch is in the way. So we just made a list of things to do. Carburetor and starter is on that list. Add to that list coil, because this one came off the new to me LT1000. We know it's bad. If you look on the floor, I've been gathering parts. There's 3 coils to pick from. There's a starter, there's bolts to hold on the cowling, there's bolts to hold on the starter, there's the cowling. I just cleaned it up. And I just came from the post office. There's my P.O. box if you want to send something to me. I just got this tag. This is from a Danby. The point of these tags, I need about 6 more. I've gone all the way from this end to that end. That's not the real point of the tag. The real point of the tag is for you to get a shout out. This is a Craftsman Dan Tractors. Not Craftsman, it's Crafts Dan. New channel, fixing old tractors to do work again. Love your channel, Dan. I'm going to go check that out. I'll probably subscribe. I like tractor channels. Anyway, this is a Michigan. I've not been to Michigan in about 3 months. It looks just like the one that's already up there with just different letters, different numbers. I'll probably put it on this end, get some blue going on down here. Shout out to Craftsman Dan Tractors. I'm going to check out his channel. If you want to, you can. Anyway, his tag is now on the wall. There's not enough room to put one beside it. But on the other side of it, I just put one of my tags. This is off of Charles. If you've not seen that video, it might be the best video I've got on my whole channel. About a year ago, I did an S10, put a V8. I just sold that S10. Anyway, bittersweet. It's gone, but that gives me a chance to fix up the one here in the garage. This red one you see here in the garage has been waiting. Now I've got a little bit of funding to find an engine, a transmission, and get it going. That video coming soon. So I would have got more done, but I started plowing for a garden. Anyway, I got the coil on and the starters on. The only thing left, the carburetor, I'm going to try it just like it is. I'm dying to start this exhaust. We got to get a battery and the gas tank in. And and then, oh, and wiring, then we'll be able to test drive it. So I just cut the extra weight off the exhaust. We'll take this piece, put it on something like that, and then continue on out that way. So this is what I have so far on my exhaust. I've got this little 9 that comes around, and it's got a little turn down. That's pretty cool. Or we could cut it off here, cut this off here, and extend it down, have a little 45 that goes right about there, behind the floorboard. And if you're wondering how good does pressure washer pipe fit, what I'm thinking about doing is saving this one. It's got a nice little short turn down. I'd like to know how it sounds. So if we found another 90, we could put this piece on and have our turn down, our little 45 right behind the floorboard. This is the general idea for the exhaust, straight off of there, almost a 90. Little turn down at the end. I'll probably just come in here with a self-tapping screw, maybe tack weld it there, maybe some kind of bracket coming off the frame. That should sound good. This exhaust reminds me a lot of what's on the boy's mini bike. He's got a pressure washer pipe exhaust too. So I just came from a parts mower. I got 3 hose clamps, a valve, and this tank. I'm gonna go clean up this tank. Once it's dry, we're gonna put it in place. So I'm back with this mower. I've been doing a lot of other projects. Colonel Craftsman's in line for some belt guards. John Deere wanted a pulley swap. I just put some light exhaust on the Subaru. This toolbox I found on clearance, I'm going to take all my little toolboxes, put all the tools in this one. That's going to be a whole video organizing the garage. I've got that red S10. I'm looking at an engine, just trying to decide which one to go with. But on this one, I don't feel like I'm stalling. Maybe subliminally I am stalling. Fast mowers was 44 miles an hour, and that was spooky. This one has a pulley that's 2 inches bigger on the front, so it should be faster. So a little scared of the speed. Plus, I don't really love working on carburetors. The only thing left to do this is carburetor, put the gas tank on, put a battery in it, paint the hood orange. It's done. Oh, I got to find a key for it. That's a piece of cake, and it's done. Let's get to work on it. Quick update time. I put the gas tank in. I've got the fuel line running all the way to the carburetor. I got a new fuel filter and a fuel cutoff valve. The next step, we put some gas in it. I'm trying to do the throttle now. The one that came on the mower, it's a little bit too short to come up to the carburetor. I've got this other one I found in the garage. It's a little bit too long. I'd pulled this plug out of the dash. It's here. I could tighten it up. It would work. But I'm almost thinking, since it's so long, run it down to the floorboard and have a gas pedal. Go ahead and work on a gas pedal now instead of later. So with my John Deere parts mower, no, not this one, I stole this solenoid. The bad news is it's got some melt here and it does not work. The good news, I was digging for some wires and I found 2 more solenoids. This one does work. That one works. I think that's the one we're going to go with. More bad news, I got to take the tape back off. The good news is it's only 2 bolts. So there's the solenoid fully installed. I've got the wires plugged into it. These are those 2 bolts. This wire comes down, goes to the starter. Somebody took the plug off of the mower. I've got I think the wires are going to the right spot and this plug going to the engine. If we put a battery in, it should be ready to start. So the solenoid is in place. That's right here. I've got all the wires hooked up. If we push the clutch and hit the key, it's time to put some gas in it. So I just put some gas in the tank. Let's turn the valve on. So this will be a first fire up, if it fires up. Just curious to see what it's going to sound like. Choke, gas. Sounds pretty good. Burning the new all-fire pressure washer pipe. Hey, sounds good to me. And that's enough for tonight. So the cat has switched positions in the hood. I sanded it down. I cleaned it with paint thinner. It's all dry. It's ready to be painted. Generally, it's best to paint when it's not raining. And of course, it's got to be raining. Anyway, up here on this plywood, I've got this bumper. I've sanded it down. I've cleaned it up. It's ready to be sprayed. The headlight lens is ready to be sprayed. I'll probably do the black stuff first and maybe the orange stuff later. Maybe when it's not raining. I'm going to use flat black on the lens. It'll make sense later. It's still raining, but I'm going to try out this fancy can. I've got it on vertical spray. Let's see what happens. I think that's going to work. So I stole a carburetor off of a different mower. That's an 18 horse carburetor, so maybe this is an 18 horse engine now. Anyway, this carburetor would have been fine, but the gaskets, once they get old and dried out, they're no more good. It needs to have a kit or either just throw it away. And to save time, I stole this throttle off of a different mower. I want to take the short one off, put the long one on, and we do the gas pedal some other day. The new throttle is on. Now we can put the cowling back on. I am working on the custom orange shifter ball. I've got the hole drilled. Now we're trying to tap the threads. So I painted this about an hour ago and it is still kind of sticky. Ken says 2 to 4 hours, so I guess while we're waiting, maybe I'll put the front bumper on the mower. Generally speaking, it's nice to have a bush guard on your race car. We're going to use this bumper. This is a John Deere bumper. I bent these tabs over in the vise. There's a pre-existing hole here, a pre-existing hole there. Hopefully those line up, and it'd be nice if this hole would line up with that bolt. We'll see here in a minute. It's the same bumper that I used on Silver Bullet. I'm going to get rid of that. Stand by. Okay, that little clip is out of the way. That hole is so close it might actually work. Let me get that bolt pulled out and we'll see. First step, let's get those bolts out. So I forgot to turn the camera back on. I got the other side bolted together. I use a C-clamp. It's slightly too wide for this mower, but I think we can make it work. Here's the C-clamp again. Okay, I believe the C-clamp is tight enough, and I think the hole is almost lined up. Good thing these bolts have little points on them. That should do it. So I got the 2 bolts in here. We can take the C-clamp off. And these 2 bolt holes did not line up. They almost lined up, but didn't. I believe it's going to be strong enough just like it is. Now let's try it again. Good enough. The front bumper is now on and that tattoo is still drying. So this side is all done. It's black and white. I like that, but on the other side, so on this side, I'm just going to do black. The white, there was 3 problems. It took forever to tape, it took forever to dry, and the can quit spraying. So I've got 2 old belt keepers. Probably this is the one up here by the idler pulley. There's a hole I drilled for the clutch that we didn't use. If I can use that to come down beside this belt, we should be good to go. So this is the new belt keeper. It'll go on a bolt right about there. That should be just right. The belt keeper is red. It is installed. It's time for a speed run. I may put on these Dirt Devils first because they're 22s versus 18s. So I've got the Dirt Devils all aired up. They're ready to be put on. That's a lot taller. What, 25% taller? Taller equals more speed. This is a better way to show the difference in height of tires.
Just so happens my name's Daisy too. I drew this just for this video. We're gonna be auctioning this off on Instagram starting at a penny. Go follow Chud.
So I want your opinion. I need you to vote down in the comments. I was going to call this one Fast Orange. Every letter stands for something. And the wife said you need to do one that's General Lee Dukes of Hazzard themed, so I could call it General Lee. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think. And sneak peek in the background, I just picked up a dune buggy. That was 2 days ago. It's a little heavy duty, more heavy duty than I thought it was going to be. I might try to flip this and get a different one, but I want to do another dune buggy build for the channel. The thing is really a monster. It's got everything it needs except for an engine. Well, it needs new tires, but other than that, it has everything it needs. Well, it needs pedals, needs a battery, needs a master cylinder. It's got cutting brakes, but they probably don't work. The seats are cruddy. I like the gas tank. I like how heavy duty. What sold me was these 3 roll bars. Do you think fix this one up or find a different one? I didn't know you could put 36-inch tall tires on a dune buggy, but there they are. And I like the yellow, the rust, the peeling, how cruddy it looks. Kind of rat rod look to me. I like it. I don't know if the LEDs work. It's got the pods, it's got the bar, and I like the diamond plate up on top. Even a tack and some gauges. I doubt that one works. Probably the best thing going is those 4-lug wheels, the 5-spoke and the 8-spoke. And these are wide. I like the wheels. One downside, other than a lot of work, a lot of money finding an engine, one downside, it's going to probably slow down the S10 video a little bit. Or maybe we'll put this on the back burner, go ahead and do the S10, get to this one later. Anyway, thanks for watching.